This is the chicken coop, and around the chicken coop I have an herb garden. So first of all, this little arbor entranceway into the chicken coop has a climbing rose on each pole going up. This is Farmer's Dream is the name of this rose, and it is like a sister or a cousin to Belinda's Dream. It has a double full pink bloom. It's a repeat bloomer, spring, summer, and fall. It repeat blooms. It's not an antique rose, it is more of a modern rose, but it is an earth kind rose. So it has a lot of the same characteristics as the antique roses does. It's just a tough, hardy rose. So I've got this climbing up the arbor entrance into the chicken coop for a couple of different reasons. First of all, because it's going to be really pretty. And second, the rabbits love rose clippings. They love them. So when I prune on this or clip on this, I just take it right into the rabbits. And the rose petals are really good to use in the nesting boxes for the chickens. But mostly this is here just because it's really going to be pretty. And then I've got the herb garden going all around the chicken coop. And these are herbs that I use for my chickens, either for their nesting boxes or just to feed them or for all different kinds of purposes. So now the boxwoods that's in the garden here, there, and there, they're not used for the chickens. I've got these placed here because when that fills out and gets mature size, it's going to fill up this whole corner from that post to the building. It's going to make, that's going to be like my little living wall that connects to this little wall we made here. So that's why the boxwoods are in the garden, is for structure. On this side, the same thing. I've got 2 boxwoods here, and when they grow and fill out, they're going to connect to this post all the way over to about here and make me a little living wall here. So that's why the boxwoods are in here. And then I've got all different kinds of herbs in here: rosemary, lavender, oregano, thyme, bee balm, lemon balm. I just planted a eucalyptus back here in the corner. I'm going to add some other things to the garden this fall. Like I want to add some sage. I want to add some parsley. I want to add some different things. I got these old iron rusty containers from somewhere. I can't even remember where I got them. I just collect stuff, and the bottoms are rusted out of them. But I've got these sitting here. They're full of good soil. There's worms all in the soil, and I'm going to plant some different herbs in those. But this is the herb garden around the chicken coop, which is used primarily for the chickens and rabbits. And then this is our water catchment system. We were watering the chickens with it, but it gets a lot of algae in it, and I'm just giving them clean water because I don't want them to get parasites or anything. But I use it mostly just to water my plants and wash our hands, stuff like that. But this that I've got growing at the base of it is creeping fig, and this is not used for, for any kind of purposes for the chickens or anything. I've got this here because I want it to grow up and completely cover these cinder blocks all the way around, and it's starting to do it. It is making progress. It's going to be really cool when this whole thing's covered in creeping fig. I think that'll be pretty. It's going to be like a neat backdrop for this really pretty eucalyptus that will actually be a tree, so it should fill up like this whole corner and help hide the water catchment barrel. The herb garden around the chicken coop is not looking very good right now. We're in this drought. A lot of things have died or they're just suffering. And I also just got through pruning back, clipping, and cleaning it up. So there's not a whole lot to look at right now. But now I'm just going to tell you a little bit about some of the herbs I use for the chickens and the benefits of them. This is bee balm that I have planted around the chicken coop, which aids in their digestion and it helps with their respiratory health. So I'm going to clip this and put it in their nesting boxes and just kind of spread it around their coop. Here's some oregano. Now oregano is antibacterial and it helps with internal parasites. It's an antiseptic and it helps with odor control, of course. But I also use the oregano oil in their water, but I like to just clip some fresh and put in their chicken coop, in their nesting boxes. Just throw these clippings in their run and they'll eat on them. Just some lemon balm, and it's really good for repelling rodents, and that's why I have it planted around the outside of my coop, is I'm hoping to repel rats and stuff from getting in there. And so far we haven't had any problems at all with rats, snakes, or anything in our coop. So it's also really good to repel insects and mosquitoes. And lemon balm is antibacterial, so this is a favorite here in the garden. This is garden sage, which is really good for internal parasites and just overall general health. I don't have this in the garden around the coop, but I'm going to be adding it to the coop garden this fall. This is out in the potager garden. I've got a few herbs out here that I like to use for my chickens, but I'm going to be incorporating some of these into the coop garden. This is thyme, and thyme is really good for their respiratory health, and it's a great antioxidant, and it helps, it aids in their mucous membranes. It helps to have good, healthy mucous membranes. Right behind it is rosemary. Rosemary is just good for a lot of different things. It's good to help repel insects. It's good for when your chickens are molting, and I have one that's doing that now, so I'm going to be using that. But it's really good to use in their nesting boxes. This is borage, which it has these beautiful blue little flowers on it. It's great for attracting pollinators and beneficial insects. These are actually little seedlings that come up from my borage that I had planted earlier this spring. So these are little seedlings that have reseeded themselves and are coming up, but I'm gonna clip a little bit of the foliage and put in the chicken coop. It's really good for the chickens if they're having egg issues, like if they're slowing down on laying their eggs, or if you have no eggs or whatever. And of course it's so hot right now, it's like 100 degrees here in Alabama, and our chickens have slowed down a lot laying their eggs. I'm just gonna put a little bit of this in their coop. This one is spearmint, and it's a really good laying stimulant just to help them lay eggs, and it's just great for repelling insects and fleas and mites and all kinds of insects. This is lavender, one of my most favorite herbs. This is like the queen of herbs. Lavender is great for so many different things. For the chickens, it helps with like infections. It helps to repel pests and insects. It helps with odor control. It helps, it's a laying stimulant. This is a great one to use in the nesting boxes because it just helps with relaxing and calming the chickens. Lavender is one of my most favorite herbs. Now this is basil that's left over in the potager garden. I've let it just go to seed, and I'm just leaving it out here just for the beneficial insects. There's not really none on it right now because it's almost dark, but this is really good for the chickens too. Basil is. It's good for, it helps build their immunity. So for immune support, it helps to repel pests. It's really good for their mucous membrane health too. So I like to use basil with my chickens. So even though this has gone to seed, I'm going to harvest it and use it in their nesting boxes and just throw it all in their coop. I'm cleaning up the potager garden, and I'm about to go ahead and just take all this basil out. I'll let it stay here as long as I can for the beneficial insects, but I'm going to go ahead and take it all out, and I'm just going to throw it all in the coop and let the chickens have it. This is some parsley. This is flat leaf parsley, and this one here is the curly leaf parsley. And of course I use it a lot for culinary uses, but I also like to use it sometimes for the chickens. It's real high in nutrients for them. It's just like a nutrient supplement for them, and it's also a good lay-in stimulant. So I finished cutting up my herbs. I stripped the leaves off the woody stems and just cut them up, put them in this basket, and this is what I'm going to use for the nesting boxes. And I'm sure this is going to be way more than I need, so I'm just going to dry the rest of it so that I have some herbs to put in their boxes during the winter. These pieces, and this is just the woody stems and stuff, I'm going to throw in the run and let them eat on it. There's also a few other herbs that I love to use for my chickens that are just not growing right now. One of those is dandelion, and dandelion is really high in nutrients, and it helps to make like rich, bright yellow-orange colored yolks in their eggs, and it's really high in calcium. So dandelion's an awesome one to use. Garlic is great to help with controlling internal parasites. And another one that I've heard, I haven't tried yet, but that I've heard is really good is like pumpkin seeds. We've got fall coming up, so when we get through the pumpkins, we're gonna throw the pumpkins over to the chickens. And I've heard that like the pumpkin seeds and the flesh and everything has really good natural deworming properties. So we always throw the melons and everything over to the chickens, but I just recently read that about the pumpkins being like a natural dewormer for the chickens, so they'll definitely get our pumpkins this year. And also chickweed is a really good source of nutrition. It's high in a lot of vitamins and nutrients for the chickens. So that's just a few of the herbs that I like to use for the chickens in the chicken coop and their nesting boxes, and just to give them to eat, and things that I have planted around the coop to help deter rodents and different things from getting in the coop. But if you guys have any ideas or any suggestions or any herbs that you like to use for your chickens, for healthier chickens, put some comments down below and let me know. I'm always researching and, just trying to figure out how to do things here on the farm naturally and as organic as possible, from raising our animals to growing our food, to growing our fruit, to feeding ourselves. I'm just always doing research and learning and reading and talking to different people and taking classes and just just trying to figure out how to have a more natural, healthier life. And if we can raise our animals as natural as possible, then we benefit from that, because the eggs and the different things that they're giving us and the compost for the garden, everything will be natural and organic. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you.